German worker George Elser decides to take a desperate step. He wants to stop Hitler and save millions of lives. He hides a powerful bomb in the wall of a beer hall, carefully sets the mechanism, and covers the hole with boards. In the hall, where the Führer himself will soon be sitting, George suppresses his trembling and looks at the podium.
November 8, 1939.
The beer hall is overflowing with Nazis. Hitler comes out to the audience, greetings, shouts of Heil. He begins his speech. At this time, Elser is already on his way to the Swiss border. But he cannot leave. He is detained by border guards. They find wire cutters, a drawing of the bomb, and a photograph of the beer hall in his pockets. It's clear he's a terrorist. He is thrown into a cell. He counts the minutes. Suddenly, there is an explosion. Munich is shaken and smoke and fire engulf the beer hall. All suspicions immediately fall on him, and he is taken to an interrogation room. Torture instruments lie on the table. The Nazi bosses accuse him of killing 7 people, but the worst thing for him is that Hitler left just 13 minutes before the explosion. He is stunned, all the preparations, months of work, and in the end, failure. He is interrogated. Bruises on his knees prove that he really did climb into a cramped niche to set the bomb. But George remains silent, does not confess, and retreats into his memories.
Summer 1932.
Young George plays the accordion by the lake. Next to him is his girlfriend Bruni. Laughter, swimming, dancing, jealousy, kisses. Life seems carefree and full of happiness. But very soon it will change forever. The next day, a letter arrives from his father. He has sold another piece of land, which deeply wounds his son. Returning to his native Königsbronn, George sees the streets plastered with Nazi posters. His drunken father is waiting for him at home. Later, when the old man blames his son for all his misfortunes, George angrily pours beer on the ground. Meanwhile, in reality, the days are filled with brutal interrogations. Müller beats Elser so hard that he falls to the floor. He is stretched out on an iron bed and whipped for every answer he does not give. After the 3rd blow, George screams in pain. But he remains silent. He suffers, his hands are covered in blood, doctors treat his wounds, but he does not utter a word. Then the soldiers go further, they drive red-hot needles under his fingernails. But even that doesn't break him. The Nazis realize they need a different weapon. They decide to use George's loved ones against him. But first, a memory. Young George plays the accordion in a beer hall, dancing, laughter, cards, cheerful friends. And then he notices her, Elsa, a girl in a red dress. Later, they find themselves together on the veranda, and she tries to teach him to dance. But George already knows how, and with a smile, he hums a tune to the music. Their idyll is interrupted by Nazis celebrating their election victory. The working youth immediately start a fight, and George, not wanting to participate, leaves with Elsa. For this, his friends call him a coward. During the interrogation, Elsa is taken to the office. Her fate is now in George's hands. He realizes that silence will mean her death. In his cell, he kneels, folds his hands, and whispers the Lord's Prayer. Then he knocks on the door and demands to see the officers. For Elsa's sake, he agrees to talk. And again, a memory. At night, he and his friends write the words "Workers vote for the Communist Party of Germany" in white paint on a fence. Even with a spelling mistake. They don't have time to correct it. The police arrive and George is forced to improvise. But during the interrogation, he still denies membership in the party. "I was against Hitler, but I was not a member of the party," he insists. Müller does not believe him. One man could not have decided to kill the Führer. He must have had accomplices. But George just smiles. Churchill himself called and ordered the bomb to be planted. Müller demands that the torture continue. But George stops him. "I will prove that I acted alone. Right now, I will draw a diagram of my bomb." And he begins to draw, showing every detail. His memories take him back to his hometown. In the beer hall, he notices Elsa's husband with a scratched face. While he is getting drunk, George rushes to his house. Elsa desperately tries to chase him away, hiding her bruises. But George stays close. Soon he learns that their family may be evicted because of debts. Financial problems have affected everyone. From a conversation with his mother, it becomes clear that he abandoned his wife and child. He also learns that Elsa's daughter is not her husband's. But neither her past nor his mistakes interfere with their feelings. At this time, the Nazis are carrying out mass arrests of communists. George is left alone only because he is not a member of the party. But the city is changing, flags with swastikas are flying, and children enthusiastically repeat Nazi slogans. Dirty, emaciated prisoners are brought out into the streets. George goes to a film screening in honor of a Nazi holiday, where a party official speaks of a happy future under the leadership of the Führer. The crowd applauds. But George is not thinking about the film or the propaganda, he is looking for Elsa. She arrives with her husband. Later, Elsa announces that she is pregnant. Meanwhile, George and his family are evicted. He rents a room from Elsa's husband. One day in the square, he witnesses a humiliation. The wife of a local Jew is put on public display with a sign saying "Shameful woman." The atmosphere becomes increasingly gloomy. Together with Elsa, George helps a communist friend who has been temporarily released for good behavior. And today the interrogations continue. The investigation confirms that George worked in a quarry where he could have stolen dynamite. His drawings are accurate, and experts agree, yes, he made the bomb himself. And again, a flashback. George cannot find work as a carpenter and gets a job at a steel mill. Movies about the power of German technology are shown in theaters. The crowd in gray uniforms eagerly hangs on every word. Only George, in his black suit, sits with a stony face. He understands that the country is moving toward a major war. An idea is born in his mind: Hitler must be stopped. Otherwise, it will be too late. After reading in the newspapers about the Führer's annual speech on the anniversary of the beer hall putsch, he comes up with a desperate plan. In 1938, George moves to Munich. He goes to the Berger Braukeler beer hall, pretends to be a visitor, and stays there overnight. When everyone leaves, he secretly inspects the hall, the columns, and the podium. And even then, he decides that this is where he will carry out the assassination attempt. George carefully measures the column in the beer hall. This is where he wants to hide the bomb, right behind the Führer's back. During the interrogation, he calmly states that killing Hitler is the only way to stop the war and prevent millions of deaths. Müller smirks. Humanism? You yourself have already killed 8 people. He adds that another wounded man died during the night. When the officers leave the room, George seizes the moment. He asks the stenographer to send a message to his family. In response, she gives him a photo of Elsa. In his cell, he is once again lost in memories: her pregnancy, the birth of their son, brief moments of happiness, and sudden grief. The child dies. The coldness between them grows, and George leaves, leaving his harmonica behind as a symbol of his past, his lost life. The Gestapo demands a confession. Pharmacology comes into play: an injection, hallucinations, new memories. Under the influence of drugs, he reflects: if fate had wanted Hitler dead, the assassination attempt would have been successful. Since it failed, it means that the world is not yet ready. Broken, he signs a confession. Next, March 1945. The Third Reich is already collapsing in Berlin. The Gestapo executes Arthur Northeast by East, the former head of the criminal police, who was hanged for participating in a conspiracy against the Führer. George learns of this in the Dachau concentration camp. He realizes that he is next. He even asks the guard, which is faster, gas, a bullet, or a noose? But his fate is sealed. Müller's order is clear: George's death must look accidental. The guards line him up against a wall and shoot him in the back of the head. This happens on April 9, 1945, just a few days before the camp is liberated. The screen fades to black. The final credits confirm that George Elser, a simple worker, tried to stop the war on his own. He sacrificed himself, but went down in history as a man who wanted to save millions. That's where the movie ends.